You often talked about how much the players enjoy playing for the 21s. I guess because they're around players of a similar age. Often there are a lot of them are their mates, and there's arguably a little less pressure, maybe. How useful is that going to be for Mason? Because he really shot under the spotlight. We all know what happened, but now gives him a chance to really kickstart his international career, I suppose.
Yeah, I think Mason's quite a private guy, quite a shy guy, and what happens when anybody comes into this environment, whether it's a member of staff or a player, they're welcomed straight away by the leadership team. In terms of the players, but they're also, all the staff are interested in these young lads. We want to help them. We want to give our little bit to help them to become better players. So I don't think there'll be any issues with getting Mason integrated back with us. I think he'll be as soon as he gets through the door, he'll become one of us again, and we'll start working towards our first game. Hopefully for him, if he's in the starting lineup.
Do you get, when Callum came back down, he was very humble and excited to be back there, and didn't have the sort of big I am of being up in the seniors and having to come back to the 21s. Do you get the sense that it'll be the same with Mason? He'll be more than happy to step back down and realise why he's there and be, keep everything for the team?
Yeah, well, yeah. In terms of the way that the environment works, he'd like exactly as you mentioned about Callum. I think that is part of what we're managing between Gareth and myself now, with the players going up to the first team and then coming back down. Their attitude, it's a great window into their attitude of the sort of people that they are. And that's, I went overboard on talking about Callum and how good he was when he came back. There are ups and downs for these young guys, and that's part of what we do, is to offer that environment where they can relax a little bit and show what they've got. But if they're not with us in terms of how we want to do that and what the environment and what's expected, then they don't last very long. But those that do tend to get back in the seniors and do really well.
Just finally on Callum, he could arguably consider himself a little unlucky not to be involved in the seniors again. Would you agree? I'm sure you're very happy to have him. He's such a quality player, but he's been playing very, very well for his country, and as you say, shown a great attitude when he's come back down to the 21s.
Yeah, I think so. I think not only that, but I think one or two players on our standby list for this particular squad can feel themselves unlucky, which is good for me, because the quality of the player is so high. But I think that's all part of sport, really, and life. You get an opportunity, you take it. Things don't work out, you come back down. You've got to get back on your bike again and go again. And Callum has certainly done that, and we're expecting Mason to do that. And anybody else who goes up to the senior team and comes back to us, there's an expectation from us, which is exactly the same as the senior team, and all the pathway. In fact, that we want you to be the best you can be. And dealing with disappointment is part of that.
Thanks, Aidy. Good to speak to you.
Thanks, Tom. We'll go to Tom Roddy now.
Hi, Aidy.
Hi, Tom.
I just, again, following up on Mason, was there ever sort of any need to have a conversation with Mason about last year, or because it was last year, is that all a line in the sand now?
Well, it is a line in the sand, but I think until he gets on the pitch and shows what he's all about, we're going to get asked questions about him. Gareth dealt with the situation along with Ollie at that time. I know Gareth has spoken to him a couple of times since, and what's done is done. As you say, a line in the sand. We move on and start, creating some better memories of time with England.
And could it almost be a benefit to him that something like that happened at the point in his career when it did? And of course, now he's still a young man and can now kind of very quickly recover from it in a way.
Yeah, I think we all make mistakes, don't we? And especially when you're a young person, and not going to go on about it forever. It's what's been has gone and done, and we move on to the next chapter of his career in his club and certainly with his country.
And on Noni, Aidy, I just wanted to ask about if you could. You mentioned a little bit about him before, but if you could give a bit of an insight into what you like about him, into the kind of scouting process of him, and also what he's like, kind of personality as well.
Well, our insights team follow all our players, whether they're playing in the Championship or whether they're playing in a league in Europe. And in Jack Harrison's case, the MLS even, I should say. So Noni, first of all, we always look for character first. Character is without doubt the foundation of any good person, any good footballer. He's got a lovely, infectious personality. It comes out even over the phone. He's delighted to be with England. He's a great example of a player that's joined the pathway and been fast-tracked because of the qualities that he's got. He's got a brilliant brain. He's quick. He's very athletic. He's a willing team player. He's willing to play a number of different positions. He can score a goal and he can assist. I know what you're going to ask me now. Why is he not playing for Gareth? But he's certainly a very, very talented young man. You know, really, really excited about being called up by the Under-21s. And again, you know, a little bit like Phil last time, nobody had really, until he came and played in the tournament, they knew a little bit about him. But that, I think, was particularly that goal he scored, set him off on a trajectory. And we're hoping that, you know, Noni and all the players named in the squad can create even more positive attention for the way that they play.
Thanks, Aidy. Cheers.
No problem, Tom.
Thanks very much, Tom. We'll go to Tony Banks.
Hi, Aidy.
Tony, hi.
I just wanted to ask you a bit about Emil. He's having a terrific season at Arsenal, and you know, for somebody who possibly wasn't, he's become a key player for Arteta this season. I just wanted to ask you, you know, what you see in the qualities of the lad and what he can give to the team.
Well, I agree with you. Outstanding. Honesty is the word that jumps out to me. I mean, you know, we can talk about all the technical qualities that he's got. We can talk about his willingness to work for the team, but he's so honest in what he does. He's desperate to please. You can see the little techniques in his game, particularly without the ball, and people wouldn't really associate him without the ball, but his willingness to work, to get into position, to check his shoulders, to make sure he's doing what the coach wants him to do. And I think probably the key thing for me, what I like so much about him is his football brain. He's one of those players that sees things happening before they actually occur, sees a pass, runs into a space where he thinks the ball going to be. And I think we're only seeing the start of him, really. If he can stay fit, touch wood, I think, you know, we've got a real player on our hands there. And again, when I spoke to Keith Downing about him, who he was with the under-19s and through other teams in the pathway, all that comes out is what a good character he is, and how important that's very important for us as a group as well.
Thanks, Aidy. Good luck.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks very much, Tony. We'll take 3 more questions. So we'll go to Matt Reed first.
Hi, Aidy.
Hi, Matt.
Good squad. I'm very pleased to see it. Very exciting times, the Under-21s. What have you made of the, I mean, this is a little bit of a continuation of a couple of points already made, but hopefully an expansion. What have you made of the transformations of the form of a few of the players since your last meetup? Specifically, Tom Davies, who in some really big matches has been dominating now deep in the midfield. Curtis Jones obviously has stepped up to become a very important player for Liverpool during their issues. He's been one of their stronger players. And as noted, Emil Smith-Rowe. These are 3 players who were struggling really a little bit and who weren't seeing much action. But now they are key players for their clubs.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you've said, and that's what the Under-21s can do. You know, whether it's a good or a bad experience in terms of a result, that can propel some players on and test some players, and some players are desperate to get back. And I think those 3 lads you've mentioned there, Emil, who I've just talked about, who we think a lot of, and has had a brilliant spell, scoring, assisting. You know, him and Bakayo being the key players for their club. Curtis, absolutely right, and I know Liverpool might not be having the best of times, but what a brilliant education he's getting there, being around those players, and obviously the coach. I've been really impressed with him, because when a young player gets an opportunity in a team that's regularly winning, which of course he has been, it's also a question mark about what they're like when they're up against it a little bit. And I think he's shown his character and his willingness to do his part to drive the team on. So, you know, we're delighted with his progress, delighted with his game time, and hopefully he can continue that for us. And as for Tom Davies, Tom, I think is also benefiting from a top coach and a great group of players around him. The fact that he's played in several different positions for his club, you know, they're quite fluid in, you know, playing different systems, 4-4-2 to a diamond. I know they've played a back three before, and he's found his place. I think he's even played wing back before the last time we saw him. But again, his willingness and honesty to go and get the ball and win it back and feed other people makes him a key team player for us. So with all three of those boys, delighted with the form, delighted that they're getting games, and you know, really excited about working with all of them.
Thanks, Matt.
Just quickly, if you had to sum up this squad in 3 words, just 3 words that kind of embody it, or maybe a short sentence, and what would you say? I
would say it's an exciting squad. I think it's a really balanced squad with players that can play a number of positions, and I think it's hungry. It's a hungry squad. It's players that you know, the majority of them are playing regularly and getting game time and improving. And I'm just excited to get them in and get working with them.
Thank you, Matt. We'll finish with 2 more questions. So Alex James.
Hi, Aidy. How are you?
I'm good, Alex. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not so bad. Thank you. Not so bad. I just wanted to ask you a quick question about Dwight McNeil. He scored a great goal on Saturday, and he's been a Premier League regular now for sort of 2 and a bit seasons. Just wondered how you've sort of assessed his progress during that time, and how much of a benefit his versatility can be, which you touched on just then in tournament football.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think he's spot on. He's played a lot of games, 2.5 seasons in the Premier League. To, you know, probably one of your name first on the team sheet, playing regularly and winning regularly is terrific. He's played as a left back for us, a left wing back for us, a left winger for us. He's played on the right hand side, and he's played in a midfield 3 as an 8. So he can play in a number of different positions. I've noticed. Sean's giving him a little bit more leeway, and he's finding himself in the middle of the pitch in different spaces. And as Burnley, the team, evolve, it's great to see him evolving. And he's always been a terrific assister. You know, that wand of a left foot that he's got, puts great crosses in. But we saw a little bit of his guile and obviously his ability to finish. And you know, I'll certainly be encouraging him to shoot more if that's what he does when he gets around the box. But more than that, I think with Dwight, when he first joined us, he was very shy, very introverted. But I think as time's gone on and he's proved himself to be a regular Premier League player, when he's come back to us on camps, he's sort of been one of the main guys. He's, you know, started speaking. You know, he's got a lot more to say, and certainly a lot more to give him. You know, he's a player that I once left out of a squad, and he's proven me right in the fact that he's fought his way back in, and you know, it was never any doubt that he'd be in the squad.
Nice one, thank you, Aidy.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Alex, and we'll finish with Connor Southwell.
Hi, Aidy. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Connor. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Just wanted to ask you a quick question on the theme of players that maybe aren't involved on Todd Cantwell. He's obviously been a player that you've selected on a couple of occasions. Is it kind of lending to what you said there about Dwight McNeil, about now having to fight his way back into contention? And what sort of advice do you have for him to make his way back into your plans?
Well, I mean, when you look at the squad, Connor, it's a tough call, and I found that one in particular a very difficult decision to make, mainly because of the form, because of I think probably after Christmas the upturn in terms of his minutes, of his numbers, of Norwich's position. Obviously, they're playing very, very well, and coming towards the end of a very long season for them, up at the top of the league. But Tom's been with us before. Todd's been with us before. Sorry, he's been excellent when he's been with us. I know how important it is for him to play for his country, and football is about knocks and setbacks, and life's about that. And you've got to get on with it and get yourself back into where you want to be. And he's certainly doing that, and was very unlucky not to be in the squad.
And just one finally on Max Aarons. For him, how big is his ceiling? Obviously, some of the clubs interested, we don't have to list them. They've obviously been massive. But what does he need to do to reach that next level, to maybe make his way into a senior squad, for example?
I think two things, really. Consistency, because he's a very consistent player. You know what you're going to get out of him. And the other thing, I think, is to try and improve bits of his game. When he's been with us, and I've noticed that when he gets in and around the final third of the pitch, his crosses are more measured and with better quality. His decision making around the goal. We think we can get more goals out of it, as I'm sure Norwich do as well. But again, another fantastic character who's desperate to get better, wants to be the best he can be, and that's why he's attracting the attention that he is.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Aidy.
Well, my pleasure.
Thanks so much, Connor. And that concludes today's session. Just wanted to touch upon the embargo point. So the embargo is now lifted unless you collectively agree otherwise. So feel free to have that discussion within this Zoom link when Aidy leaves. We've recorded the session, so if you do need a copy of the recording, then please let me know. And next access to the squad will be on Monday, the 22nd of March. We'll give you some player access then ahead of our first game on Thursday, the 25th of March. So thanks very much for joining us. We'll leave the group open to discuss that embargo point. We'll see you soon.